short time, and it all turns out fine.
For this song, Summer Rose, I want to record some shakers and some tambourine for the track. You can see I've already recorded some tambourine already. In fact, actually, this piece right here, I like this section, but I'm not quite sold on this right here. The performance isn't bad. I just don't know if I actually want it there or not. I also don't want to just highlight it all and delete it, because what if I want it back later? A nice and easy way for me to be reminded that I have a section right here, because of course, if I do delete it, I can always trim it back out. But another way I can do this is if I just click here and then hit B to break it. Now I can double click on this section and hit Command M to mute it. I can click Command M again to unmute it, but I'll keep it muted for now, so that way I can have access to it just in case I want it back. And it still plays this one. So I'm not using mute on the entire track. I'm just muting a specific clip. Let's take a quick little listen to the tambourine as well. I'm going to hit Shift S to solo it. So I recorded this tambourine track in stereo with an XY stereo miking technique. What I did is I favored the right side of it. Watch my meters and you can see that it favors the right side. So all I did is I played more to the right side, and as I was playing, I was finding a good location where it fit within the mix of the song. So I'm kind of actually mixing it as I record, getting the microphone placement right from the beginning, and it really helps in the mixing process later and helps the whole track kind of vibe together. So we're going to do the same thing with our shakers now. I have a shaker track already set up, and I favored the tambourine on the right side, so I'm going to favor the shaker on the left side, and I'll kind of move it around to find the best placement for it. I kind of did that already, so I generally know where I want to go, but I'm pretty okay, I'm pretty happy with it. So we're going to see how this sounds. After I hit record, I have to run over, grab the shaker, and then start recording. So I need to give myself a little bit of lead time for that. So I'm going to use pre-roll. If I hit Command K, it brings pre and post roll up right here. Otherwise, I can just click them individually. But Command K brings it up. I have a 2-bar pre-roll. The reason I like pre-roll is when I hit record, it will start recording 2 bars before, but I won't actually see it until the 2 bars is up. So here's a good example of that. I'll just do it right here. I'll hit Shift R to put the track in record enable, and this is where the playhead is. Now I hit 3 to record. And then it automatically started recording at that point. So now I can click here, and I have time to hit 3 to record, run over, grab my shaker, and then start recording. Clearly, the farther away it is, I'll need to increase my pre-roll, but this is just fine for now. So I'll go ahead and now record the shaker for this instrumental section.
And cool with the stars. My hands were so weak.
Great. Now I can barely see those waveforms. I did record it at a lower volume, but I did have those preamps quite cranked. So I'm okay with it. I'm gonna leave it be. But just so I can see those a little bit better, I'm going to increase the waveform size by clicking on the zoom for the wave. I can also hold Control and then the up arrow to make it bigger, and then T and R to zoom in and out. But you can see clearly I favored the left side, and then I favored the right side on the tambourine. And that kind of gives me a nice stereo feel with separation of instruments. I just recorded for the first instrumental, and I know I also want to record for the second instrumental. A key thing I am not doing is I am not going to copy and paste this by essentially option dragging it, or Command C, clicking where I want, and Command V to paste it. I'm not going to be doing that because I want this to have variability in each section. The more you begin to copy and paste in an acoustic song like this, with acoustic instrumentation, your audience might be able to start to pick up on that. And I want to avoid that at all costs. Also, I like recording, so I don't want to rob myself of that process. I find that increasing the amount of times I record compared to copy and paste, I start to add variability to my performance, and it really helps the track shine. So let's go ahead and do the same thing right here.
Off to the touch, and so very cat.
looking at these two performances, you can see clearly the first instrumental, it's a little different than the second one. Now I have the option to go back and re-record this first instrumental to make it match this one, or I can do the opposite. I can analyze this one and then re-record this one. So it gives me more opportunities to think about the song and all the variability I can add to it. It just changes the way I'm processing the performance. If I just do one recording and copy and paste it all throughout, then I'm robbing myself of that opportunity to find the best possible performance or the best possible way to record. Using pre-roll is also an excellent way to punch yourself in if you're recording by yourself like I am right now. Perhaps right there, I just make a mistake and then I'm thrown off by that and the rest of it just isn't vibing with the track. I can click right here a little bit to the left of it, and now when I hit 3 to record, it's still in pre-roll. So I'll hit 3 to record and it'll go back in time, but it does start recording 2 bars before, so I can use my trim tool and I can crossfade appropriately. So let's exemplify that. I'll click perhaps slightly before where I want it to go into, and then I'm going to hit 3 to record, and then as it's doing its pre-roll, I'm going to start playing the shaker. That way, when it does reach this point and it puts the recording on the timeline, it will already kind of be vibing with the track, so to speak. So my edits will be a lot cleaner. You never want to start recording right when you're supposed to start recording. You want to record before that. So any crossfades you have to do as you're recording onto the same track, all of those will work out quite nicely. So now 3 to record it, and I'm going to start playing the shaker as soon as possible. Let's pretend like that's the area that I just needed to punch in real quick. Look, if I go to my trim tool and I'm on slip mode, if I go like that, that's literally right where it started recording, but it didn't actually put it onto the timeline until right there. So I have all this room to feather that with the trim tool, zoom in, I can begin to make my crossfades. So I'll put a crossfade there, and if I double click, it highlights the whole clip. I can hit the right arrow key to go to the end of that clip. Now watch what happens when I crossfade right here. It's saying that I have one or more fades that are invalid due to insufficient data. Let's go ahead and get out of that. That's because I stopped recording right there. So if I try to crossfade like that, this can't fade out over here because that data doesn't exist. So I have to use my trim tool, trim this out this way a little bit. Oh, look, you can see right where the clip on the left ends. So if I go right here, now when I make a selection and hit F to make that fade right there, and of course it makes the fade based on the preferences I have for the default fade, now it's able to fade in and out appropriately. Now that I've made those edits, I can go throughout the song and record the rest of the shakers. It's better to have more than less because you can always just double click and Command M it to mute it. But of course, I definitely want to avoid copy and pasting throughout because I want this to have variability in its performances and I want the audience to hear that.